Hello, friends. Welcome to part 5 of our lecture series, Becoming a Lead Green Associate. In this part, we'll be considering the location and transportation category. Come with me. And under this part, the major focus of the content would be number one, location and transportation, the overview, and then we'll look at location as a subject, transportation as a subject, and finally, neighborhood development and design. Now, choosing the right location for a project is very important. It can take advantage of infrastructure in existence, roads, utilities, this water and power provisions, transportation networks, and so on. So the location and transportation category focuses on the existing built environment to minimize the depletion of environmental resources. Social integration is also a key consideration, as it will give the occupants opportunity to benefit from pedestrian paths, bicycle lanes, thereby reducing air pollution and encouraging physical activity. Also, existing infrastructure can lower construction costs, you know, associated with connecting to services and all that, utilities and all that. So that is why this particular segment of our lecture is very important. Now, just a quick mention here because you may come across it in your examination. The location and transportation category engages three strategies in prioritizing the triple bottom line benefits. And that is one, the location strategy, which is to determine the siting of the project before anything else. Two, transportation, to determine how users of that project would have access to the project without negative impact on the environment. And finally, number three, the neighborhood pattern and design that encourages contiguity and proximity. So we're going to be looking at these three strategies under the location and transportation category as we move on. In green building, the location of a project can have a significant impact on the environment and the bottom line. When we choose a location that is close to existing infrastructure and services, we avoid costly infrastructure investment and we enhance the project's environmental aspects. So, this is why LEED focuses on strategies that will help us achieve this benefit in the threefold area: sustainability, by reducing the burden on the environment through the use of existing infrastructure; economically, by reducing costs associated with connecting the project, to services that are far off. Socially, we engage with the existing community and create pedestrian paths and roads. So, from these three angles, LEED draws benefits from the project. Okay. Now, these benefits that have been mentioned are achieved in certain ways, which we're going to speak to, and I want you to pay attention to some of the keywords that are now going to be emanating from our conversation. Smart growth. Note that smart growth is the opposite of urban sprawl. This approach concentrates growth in compact, trackable, or walkable urban centers. Take note of the word compact instead of low density, that is scanty development, car dependent communities, which is what urban sprawl is. These principles and strategies of smart growth includes mixed land uses, compact building design, use of existing communities, walkable and social neighborhoods, and so on. These are the ways you achieve compact development. Secondly, increased density through compact development. This approach encourages vertical growth to allow for more density within a small area. By living within walking distance to services and leisure spaces, organized planning can reduce population vulnerability by facilitating improved access to resources, services, and also amenities. Very important, you take note of this: vertical growth instead of horizontal spread. And under the location strategy, there are keywords I would want us to pay attention to. Development density is the number of units in each area. Densely developed lands, that is, compactly developed lands, are preferred because they usually have existing infrastructure and services in place. So that's development densities, talking about how many units of buildings you have per acre, per plot, and the likes. Density radius talks about the circle drawn around the site to calculate the development density, that is, the extent of the scope of assessment. The extent of the scope of assessment is the density radius. Now, the floor area ratio is the building's total floor area to the size of the land upon which it is constructed. This is usable for determining zoning areas to limit the amount of construction in a certain area. Walking distance is a measure of the ability of occupants to reach nearby amenities and services. Another keyword we should take note of is the bicycle network, which refers to roads and paths dedicated to bicycles. They are connected to form a network. They don't exist in isolations. LEED projects can benefit from having bicycle network near the project site. There are points accruable to comply with this credit. as this makes it easy for occupants to reach services and amenities without carbon emissions. So projects are encouraged to provide bike racks and shower facilities to the regular occupants of the building to facilitate the use of bicycles. Okay. So we are talking about ways to achieve the location demands for lead. We've talked about the smart growth, we've talked about the compact development, and we are now talking about another way to comply is by choosing LEED certified neighborhood. If you're considering achieving LEED certification for your project, pick a location that has already been certified. This is essentially because such neighborhoods have already achieved LEED certification, haven't satisfied the requirements for the following: quality transit, development density, smart growth, and compact development. LEED also encourages project teams to identify these certified neighborhoods before selecting. Identify these LEED certified neighborhoods before selecting a location to ensure that the measures are implemented and to maximize the benefits. Now, choosing a LEED certified neighborhood can help achieve the location and transportation credit for the project. Once the project is cited in already LEED certified neighborhood, it is automatic, admittance or award of the credit, and other strategies become irrelevant or unnecessary. All right, this is just like a one-way access to getting all of the points for that credit. So we talked about smart growth, we talked about compact development, we talked about selecting a LEED certified neighborhood. Now it's diversity of users. LEED encourages project teams to consider the diverse uses of the community when selecting a location for their project. A broad range of services can have a positive impact on the triple bottom line and give the project opportunity to obtain points in the development density and diverse uses credit. The more varied the services around your project, the more points the project would receive. Now, to ensure that there are diverse range of services around the project site, 5 eligible categories for uses have been identified by you. And these counted uses must represent at least 3 of these categories. And that excludes the building's primary use. The categories are as follows: 1. Food retail. 2. Community serving retail. Thirdly, services. Number 4, civic and community facilities. And number 5, community anchor uses. We must be able to identify with your project at least 3 of these 5 categories. So we've talked about smart growth, compact development, picking a LEED certified neighborhood. We've talked about diversity of uses, Another approach is to locate your project near public transit. Choosing a location that is near public transit offers many benefits. One of these is it reduces use of personal automobiles because people are naturally encouraged to patronize the public infrastructure. And this in turn reduces carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, and other harmful effects associated with vehicular use. So this is another important approach in addition to the previous four approaches that we already mentioned. So don't forget smart growth under location. Try to identify smart development area. Secondly, compact development. Then lead neighborhood that is already certified. Diversity of uses and also located near public transit. All right. So for the transportation part of it, which is one of the major causes of air pollution, um, contributing to global warming and other negative environmental effects like traffic congestion, urban sprawl, and other health risks. So, alternative modes of transportation are encouraged. Public transportation, bicycles, and alternative fuel vehicles can mitigate these effects. Other strategies include promoting bicycling with networks, dedicated or preferred parking, shower facility, as well as reduced parking spaces. So, LEED relies on transportation demand management strategies. And I want you to pay attention to these because you will be asked to mention which of these or to identify which of some flagged multiple choice answers, which of them is or is not a part of the transportation demand management strategies or smart transportation strategies. Now, these are the six um, we'll be mentioning now. Telecommuting, shuttles, shared parking between users, residential units rented or sold separately from parking, transit subsidy, and compressed work week schedule. We're going to explain all of these terms, but I want you to note them as keywords under the transportation strategy: telecommuting, shuttles, shared parking between users, residential units that are rented or sold separately from parking, subsidy on transportation, and compressed work week schedule. Now let's take a look at the triple bottom line benefits. Promotes eco-friendly transportation options. This is essential to reducing pollution and the environmental impact of automobiles. We encourage the use of lower cost transportation options and then save money associated with private vehicles. We'll be supporting the use of bicycles, thereby improving public health and promoting physical activities. So these are the triple bottom line benefits of the transportation smart strategies that we just mentioned. Now let's talk about public transportation. It's the first approach under transportation, and this solves a lot of challenges. If you're looking for a way to reduce emissions and traffic congestion, public transportation is the way. It will not be as convenient as private vehicles, but it has numerous advantages. It is widely seen as part of the solution to the several environmental and economic problems in communities. And then local communities are improving public transit services and quality because of the environmental and economic gains. There are a variety of modes to public transportation, may include buses, light rails, subways, commuter trains, van pool services, ferries, water taxis, tramways, and monorails. You must be able to identify a number of these options or modes of public transportation. Okay, so when projects are situated close to mass transit, public transit, it makes it easier to encourage people to use them. Another approach is reducing parking spaces because they come with a lot of environmental and financial challenges, including impervious surfaces that cause water runoff, increased congestion on the street, high level of carbon emissions from private vehicles, resulting into low productivity and high temperature in the communities. So one of the solutions also is to reduce the size of parking spaces in projects by locating projects in high density communities or near multiple transit options. So this is another strategy to discourage the use of private vehicles and promote the use of public transportation. Yeah, I'll be speaking to this slide because I want you to take note of a reference standard because I told you at the beginning of this lectures that when we come across reference standards relating to certain strategies, I would pick them out of the slide for you to note. Now, projects can aim points for complying with the reduced ratios recommended by the Parking Consultants Council as referenced in this book, the Institute of Transportation Engineers Transportation Planning Handbook, the third edition. You may not need to cite the pages, it won't be cited, but you need to know the reference standard for complying with reduced parking. The Institute of Transportation Engineers Transportation Planning Handbook, third edition. All right. So, and you should take note of the fact that LEED is expecting minimum of 20% reduction. 20% reduction in the number of parking spaces from the baseline um, case. Now we'll talk about alternative fuel vehicles. Is another approach. Conventional fuel vehicle emissions have been leading to significant health risks, such as respiratory issues and other health concerns. Also, the continuous use of petroleum based fuel is rapidly contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, which have severe environmental consequences. So, switching to alternative fuel vehicles can reduce these harmful effects. And these vehicles run on fuels other than traditional petroleum fuels. Some use electricity. We have those that use hydrogen, compressed natural gas, and so on. So this reduces the carbon dioxide emissions, making the vehicle low polluting. Okay, again on this slide, there's a reference standard you must not miss out on, and that is the one that guides the minimum score for green vehicles. Alternative fuel vehicles are also the ones known as green vehicles, and they must meet third party standards for fuel efficiency and emissions to receive points under LEED credit. And that third party standard is regulated by the American Council for Energy Efficient Economy, ACEEE, American Council for Energy Efficient Economy, ACEEE, or its equivalent, and they've set a minimum green score of 45 for a vehicle to be qualified to be called a green vehicle. The minimum green score of 45. Now, to support green vehicles, there are infrastructure that must be in place on your project, which is the electrical vehicle supply equipment and battery switching stations fitted on your parking spaces. So you can also be rewarded by designating the percentage of your parking spaces to green vehicles under the term preferred parking, or where this is not achievable, you can offer parking subsidized rate for green vehicles. These are incentives to encourage users to switch to that option. The compressed work week simply enables employee to work a standard 35 to 40-hour work week in fewer days as usual. Now, understand, this will result to less stressful commutes since employees can avoid rush hour traffic. However, working 10 hours per day can be mentally and physically exhausting. That's the side. The compressed work week is saying instead of achieving the expected weekly workload in 5 days, achieve it in 4 days by compressing it a little. Workers taking up 10 hours of work as against 8, so that the number of days they spend on the road is reduced and the volume of emissions is also reduced. That is the goal of the compressed work week, which is an option and employers can take advantage of. The telecommuting is just like remote working. It's a flexible work arrangement that allows your workers to work from home or elsewhere for part or all of their regular work schedule. There are several benefits. Not only is it eco-friendly, it saves a significant amount of energy. And you can imagine how much positive consequences it will have both for the employees and the employers, who will have increased job satisfaction, reduce staff attrition or turnover intake, lower stress levels, and higher productivity. Something to explore, right? Okay, let's go ahead. Carpooling involves two or more people traveling together in a privately owned vehicle. Employees can promote this through incentive programs, including free parking, or preferred parking. The benefits are massive: less wear and tear, cost sharing among the employees, reduced stress, physical stress, and higher productivity. This is another very strong point as an option in smart transportation strategies. Again, we talked about bicycling, which is a fantastic way to promote public health by encouraging recreational physical activity. This will reduce carbon emissions, reduce vehicle usage, and it's going to have high level of positive impact. And that's why project teams are rewarded when they're able to integrate bicycle facilities into the building. There are more information that you may want to take note of on this slide as we make progress in the lecture. Okay, so we've talked about location, transportation, and now we're looking at neighborhood development and design. And neighborhood is just a distinctive area where people live, workshop, and engage with their neighbors. And when we say neighborhood is sustainable, it is because it has demonstrated high levels of workability, a strong sense of community, social cohesion, stability, and resilience. In creating better communities, it is important to adopt integrated planning and urban design approaches, which is proactive planning rather than focusing on mitigation strategy, which is responsive or reactionary. The strategies should emanate from the pre-design stage or through design to construction instead of reacting to the impact of poor planning. That's what this is saying. And so, one such approach that the lead rating system is engaging for neighborhood development is to prioritize smart growth, urbanism, and green building. This is important, and you need to take note of the intent of lead in this particular strategy. And we can see here what the triple bottom line benefits for achieving that could mean. So for neighborhood design and development, we have the smart location and linkage. Smart location is by building on previously developed or infill sites. It's a key strategy lead recognizes, including brownfield site cleanup and redevelopment efforts. Poor location choices can result in destructive environmental impacts, lengthy commute, and also exposure to harmful substances. And to build sustainable communities, it is essential to protect sensitive natural settings and employ strategies like habitat restoration that minimizes construction impact. So, smart location, very key to sustainable communities by promoting environmental sustainability, social contiguity, and facilitating economic value. So, this is one of the ways the neighborhood design and development approach is pursued. We also have the neighborhood pattern and design. This is the foundation of a sustainable neighborhood. It starts with the effective use of land that limit urban sprawl and promote ecosystems. Neighborhoods considered efficient have services and facilities that are close together and easily accessible. Incorporating a wide range of housing types and sizes can create a sense of community that is diverse and inclusive, catering for students, families, aged, and couples alike. So, this is as important as every other strategy that we have mentioned in this particular chapter. Take note of this and the intent of LEED for these strategies. And the final topic we're looking at in this chapter is the green infrastructure and buildings, which is the third approach under the neighborhood design and development. Creating a green community requires a variety of high performance environmental strategies. Some of the essential steps to making this possible will be mentioned. I've been mentioning five of achieving energy and water efficiency, reusing older buildings, brownfield sites that we mentioned, recycling materials or reusing of materials, salvaged materials, reducing stormwater runoff, and eliminating pollution sources. Um, to begin, we need to focus on constructing green buildings that are highly efficient in energy and water consumption. And it's important to consider the impact of each island effect so as to guide our choice of materials. So, um, green buildings and certified within communities can incorporate all of the necessary sustainable strategies so as to streamline the development process. So, we have enumerated the location and transportation strategies. Up next, we'll be looking at sustainable sites as a